cameras today? Are we gonna make a video about cameras today?
All right, gotta give me all the kisses in the world first. Okay. What is going on, everybody? My name is Mark Moody and I hope you're having an awesome day wherever you may be viewing this video. I'm actually re-recording this video because I recorded it yesterday and I was just now getting ready to edit it, and then I realized that the audio came out looking like crap, so we're redoing it. But that is not the point of today's video. Today's video is actually going to be about how you can use old cameras in your photography, not by shooting with them, but by shooting through them, and I'll explain that here in a second. Way before I even got into photography, way before I even started taking pictures, I had this weird knack for collecting really old cameras, and over the past 8 or 9 years, I've collected several different cameras, and most of them are really old film cameras. Some of them are 35mm, other are medium format cameras. My very first medium format camera, I sort of got interested in this new style of photography and interested in these new types of cameras, and especially looking at medium format cameras. Now, what makes those cameras different from 35mm cameras are the negatives that they produce, and more so the way they're even designed. Now, I owned 3 different types of medium format cameras, and once I bought my first one, I was on the hunt for this guy right here, which is the Mamiya RB67, a mechanical beast of a camera, if I do say so myself. This thing weighs a ton. This little box right here is the camera itself. This is the back, this is a viewfinder, this is the lens, and there's so many other different parts that you can take off and change out with other different parts to sort of customize this camera. It is an insane work of art in the history of photography. Nothing in the camera requires batteries or anything for it to function. It is a fully mechanical camera, which is one of the things I absolutely love about it. Now, one of the other things that I really like about this camera is this part right here, which is the waist level viewfinder. And if I take this piece off right here, it exposes this little window right here, this piece of glass. Now, this is the waist level viewfinder. Now, the viewfinder on your camera is that little window or that box that allows you to kind of look through it and see a little preview of your picture before you're getting ready to take it. On your DSLR, on your 35mm, on your mirrorless camera, it's most likely that little window, that little eyepiece in the back that you kind of look through before you go to take your picture. And on here, it's this giant window. So immediately I was instantly struck by this camera, and I thought, wow, that's insane that I can see that much of my image just before I take the picture, all from this little window. Now, I've used it twice to take pictures on them, but I don't know what those negatives ended up looking like because I didn't really follow through with that. So for the longest time, this camera sat on my shelf and it collected dust. And so I finally reached the decision, instead of taking pictures with this camera, I'll take pictures through this camera. Yes, lady. Yes, I know. You want to go outside and play. You gotta wait for me to finish the video though. Now, if you have a camera just like this laying around your house and you want to use it, that's awesome. Go ahead. If you don't, you want to go out and find one, that's okay. There's many other brands out there you can find. There were many other medium format cameras just like the RB67 that all had these waist level viewfinders. You had cameras that were made by Rolleiflex, Bronica, Pentax, and the biggest one out there, Hasselblad. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of other cameras out there that are just like this that you can use to take these pictures. Now, to find some of these cameras, you can search Craigslist, eBay, a thrift store, maybe an antique shop in the area may have one. So you are bound to find a camera like this. They are out there, trust me. Now, if you do find yourself getting a hold of one of these cameras and you don't want to invest all that time and all the money into film photography with medium format cameras, you can use this instead of shooting with it. You can shoot through it. Now, I have developed a few steps, a procedure, if you will, for taking pictures through these kinds of cameras. Step 1, acquire a camera with a waist level viewfinder. Once you have one of these cameras, your next step is to go ahead and pop open that waist level viewfinder so you can kind of see whatever your camera is seeing. Once you have that finished, go ahead and set your camera in a spot so that the scene or that little moment, your picture that you want to capture through the viewfinder is set up. Make sure that it's aligned, make sure that it is in focus with the bellows on your camera, these little knobs right here. Some cameras will have them, others won't. You may have to actually focus using the lens. On this camera in particular, you actually have to use the bellows right here, this knob, which will extend the camera inwards and outwards to help you focus. On other cameras, it may be different, but bottom line, make sure that your shot, make sure that your scene is in focus inside the viewfinder, and use that to kind of set up that shot. Once you have your shot or your scene all set up with the waist level viewfinder, grab your DSLR, grab your other camera, whatever you're using to actually take the picture, have it face down right above the waist level viewfinder. Next, you want to make sure that your camera that you're taking this picture with is properly focused on the waist level viewfinder. So in order for you to do that, just go ahead and set your autofocus right on that little window, or manually focus it right on the image that's inside this window right here. Shoot these pictures typically somewhere between f4 and f5.6. I find that that's a pretty decent range for your f-stop to be at for shooting these. If you can get certain details on the camera itself in focus, that's pretty good. But for the most part, you want your primary focus to be on the image that is in the waist level viewfinder. The other thing you want to do is make sure that your image is exposed properly. So go ahead and meter your exposure for whatever image is being displayed through this viewfinder here. Now, a good focal length to shoot these at, if you are using a DSLR or a mirrorless camera, is either 24 millimeters or 35 millimeters. If you're shooting on a crop sensor camera, 24 millimeters is pretty darn close to 35. And if you're shooting on a full frame camera, shooting at 35 millimeters is right on the money. The reason for shooting either 24 millimeters on a crop sensor camera or 35 millimeters on a full frame camera is because you want to eliminate any sort of distortion when shooting these pictures. Once you do that, go ahead, take your picture, boom, there you go. You just used this camera for more than just taking pictures with it, but through it. Now you're trying out a different style of photography. You can use it for portraits. I love using this thing for landscapes, especially. You're getting different shots like these, a couple that I've taken over the past few months. And doing these types of tasks, doing these little exercises, using these old cameras really help to jog your creativity, really help to sort of test your abilities as a photographer and see what kind of different things you can come up with. We're getting invaded by all kinds of dogs today. Yes, that means everyone can join in. So if you take any of the advice, if you follow any of the procedures that I told you guys to do today to take a picture through old cameras like this here, when you do take those pictures and if you throw them up on Instagram, please don't forget to tag me in those photos. I would love to see what you guys come up with and what you guys create using the advice that I gave you here today. If you like this video, please leave a like, please share it around, please leave a comment also if you have any questions. I would love to answer them. I would love to hear some feedback from you guys. We're already at 60 subscribers, which is pretty freaking cool. I don't know if we'll get to 100 before the end of the year, but let's see what we can do. But without further ado, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.